In New Jersey, there are multiple grounds for divorce. It could be 18-month separation, it could be adultery, irreconcilable differences. But the reason you're getting divorced doesn't change the outcome. Oftentimes people come to my office and they say, well, I want to get divorced on the grounds of adultery. It's not going to change the outcome of the relief that you seek in your case, but there might be some personal or religious reason that you want the divorce to be granted on a particular ground. By and large, people use irreconcilable differences. New Jersey is an equitable distribution state when it comes to the division of assets in your divorce. So we're not a community property state, but equitable distribution. And what does that mean? It means exactly what it sounds like. We equitably divide the assets and the liabilities that were acquired during the marriage. So that's from the day you said I do until the day someone goes to court and files a complaint for divorce. We divide all the assets in a manner that's fair and reasonable under the circumstances. Now, people often say, well, does that mean equal? Sometimes it means equal, but there can be extenuating circumstances where we do an unequal division of assets. As a practical matter, how do we divide assets in a divorce? Well, you can't really continue to share the house, or at least it's typically not advisable to continue to sell the house. So there will be some assets that are easily divisible, like bank accounts or retirement accounts. And yes, maybe you had some money in there prior to the marriage, and we have mechanisms in place to identify what assets you had prior to the marriage. A home, you can either do a buyout, sometimes they sell the home, or the parties decide to hold on to the home till a date certain. Maybe you have a child that's getting ready to graduate from high school, and you say, you know what, we're gonna hang on to the house for 6 more months, let our child graduate from high school, then we sell the house and we figure out how to divide the proceeds. So people ask, how do we identify the assets and what do we do in terms of dividing these assets? So in New Jersey, we have a form, it's called a case information statement. I like to tell my clients that, first of all, it's the most important form we're going to work on together. Second of all, the form is all-encompassing. Think of it as a balance sheet for your family. Not only does it list all the assets, it lists all the liabilities, and it lists the family budget. What you say the budget was during the course of the marriage, and what your budget's going to be either now because you're separated, or what the budget is that you anticipate to experience once you're living in 2 separate homes. So that case information statement becomes the basis of our conversations of identifying which assets are marital, which assets may be separate property, and then we start to work on how we're going to divide those assets. Alimony is always one of the hot topics in all of my consultations. How much do I have to pay, or how much am I going to receive? How long am I going to pay it, or how long will I receive it? And the all-important question, is there a formula? So I'll work backwards. No, there's no formula for alimony in New Jersey, but there is a statute, and that statute gives you all the factors that a court, a mediator, or an arbitrator must consider in calculating alimony. You know, by and large, it's how did we live during the marriage? Can the payor continue to support 2 families, 2 people at that rate? Maybe not. And what the recipient, the payee spouse's needs actually are. And so that goes back to that all-important case information statement. What was the budget? What is the actual need? And does the other party have the ability to pay? I set alimony first, and then if there's children, we get to child support second. The myths on alimony on the internet. If I had $1 for every person that came into my office and said, lawyer Google told me that alimony is forever in New Jersey after 10 years of marriage. Not true. Alimony isn't forever. It depends on the length of the marriage. Yes, anything under 20 years is limited duration alimony, so you receive alimony for a set period of time. What's the set period of time? The statute says up to the length of the marriage. So I'm married 17 years. I could receive alimony for up to 17 years. Now, if you hit that 20-year mark and beyond, alimony is then called open duration alimony, which means the payor pays until he, she, or they actually have a good faith retirement. I'm getting divorced and I have some children. So what are the basics on child custody in New Jersey? Well, there's a statute that governs child custody, and there's a lot of case law that talks about child custody. The basic principle to remember is best interest of the child. Not best interest of the parents, but best interest of the child. So the court, a mediator, an arbitrator is going to work with the parents to arrive at a custody plan that is truly in the children's best interest. Is New Jersey 50-50 when it comes to all custody cases? Well, absolutely not, because there are really no absolutes in family law. The reality is we still focus on what's best for the children or child for this particular family. And yes, there is a statute that governs custody and parenting time in New Jersey. And yes, parents have equal rights. It is gender neutral. Whether I have two moms, two dads, a mom and a dad, both parents start on equal footing. Yes, we do look at what our roles were prior to the filing of the complaint, but really once parents are divorcing, our roles change, and one parent may suddenly have more responsibility for pick up and drop off, for instance. So again, it's the focus on what's best for the children in this particular family under these set of circumstances. So if you have questions on divorce, alimony, custody, and support, give our office a call and we're happy to walk you through what's next in life.